here. Hopefully I tried not to make this too boring, because even though we're probably all experts in the room of some kind in this field, this can get quite boring. But I'm going to start with something controversial, which I said to somebody today on LinkedIn, which is please debate with me later on when we finish the session. I think cybercrime today and hacking is almost like stealing candy from a baby. Now, why do I say that? I say that because when I was at Citibank, we got hacked by a proper hacker, a Russian mathematician who, till date, we never found who he was. He stole $10.2 million, and we never found that money. So he went through and did what a proper hacker would do. Today, we don't have that. This is like stealing candy. That's why sometimes with some of the news items you get, like, how did that happen? Well, we're vulnerable. And some of these kids, some of them are 17, 18, 19, 20, zero knowledge. They're using tools and techniques to steal. And it's very sophisticated. So that's my controversial start for the presentation. I'm happy to discuss it later on. So, Trevor, sitting over there, our lead architect and software engineer. Said, our product specialist. Said's upside over there. Tia didn't make it, so we're missing one, and myself, Valentine. So we'll go a little bit into. So I'm gonna go into. There's no point in a little bit of stats, and I know we know all of this, but just to put a perspective as to why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm not gonna read through all of that, but we can see there's a problem here. It is a yes, sorry. It's a huge, significant problem that we have. The costs, data breaches cost 4.35 million in 2022, 2.361 million ransomware attacks, 2022. I mean, these figures continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So, again, breaking down some of the ransomware attacks, some of the stats there. International studies here is government administered networks have fallen victim 38 times to hacks, more than 1 million. The 33 billion one was lost to cyber in 2020. These statistics are scary, absolutely scary. The Australian one. So with vendors to large enterprise organizations, even more susceptible to cyber data theft, which in turn could mean that the client's data is also vulnerable. Excelitte as an all-person solution to protect all data across all landscapes. So I'm going to explain that a little bit more. What we started doing with Excelitte was we started looking at all the attacks that have been happening, primarily from the data side. So huge focus on the data, especially when you started having ransomware attacks, where somebody gets hold of your data and says, give me $10 million, or you're not going to see this data anymore, I'm going to expose this data. So a lot of the work we've done, a lot of the work we've been doing in Excelitte has primarily a lot of focus around the data side. And I'll go into more detail. Again, this is very familiar to everybody here. This is how it works. Somebody gets in there, you clicked on a link. Next thing you know, your computer looks similar to that. Bring some money, we know the score, that's how it's always happened. So in a nutshell, Excelitte secures data stored in a database on a PC or cloud-hosted files for individuals or sole traders, small, medium enterprise-sized organizations, and you can protect your data in seconds. There's no need to install any software or have a technical background. So the idea was, how do we protect data that's sitting on the computer to make sure that if someone wants to do a similar attack, to impede it, to ensure that this can happen? That was the thinking behind some of the work we started doing. So this is an analogy that we've used to try and explain some of the work we're doing here. Obviously, a burglar tries to get into your house, likened to trying to get into your system. You got zero trust, your three-factor, your ID management, your firewalls, and that's the house. So we liken some parts of Excelitte, some of the tools set in Excelitte, as if someone's broken into your house, but you still have the gold in the safe, Excelitte protects the gold in the safe. So it says, you've come to the house, so now I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this data that's sitting in this safe you can't see it. If you get to it, if you do get to it, you can't use it. So if you get to it, you can't use it because of the state in which the data is in. So we'll get more into that as well. Traditional governance models likely depended on manual oversight, struggle to keep pace. Human error, one of the highest contributors to breaches. Compliance failures, operational gaps. So, automating cybersecurity governance. So governance, as we know it, and governance includes, when I send that email as a test, I'm sure most organizations do it, when I send that email as a test to see if you're going to click on a phishing message because I have worded in a manner to trick you to clicking it. So we say, let's have something that looks at that link and says, no, I'm not even allowed to click it. I'm just going to take that link and destroy it. I'm going to test it automatically. So automating the governance, negating the need for you to manually do something, because human error is a problem. It's a challenge. So with automation at the core of security operations, organizations can achieve levels of resilience, efficiency, and assurance. So at the core of what we've done with Excelitte is automation to negate as much as possible human error. An example of automating a data security governance process, such as do not save any sensitive files without first encrypting it, would now mean developing and implementing automation scripts that automatically encrypt such a file when the user clicks on save. So we're doing it for you. We're not allowing you to do that. That's the thinking. Excelitte obviously started off from one product, and there's 4 now. And based on some of the research we continue to do, some of the work we've done. The first version was launched in TechCrunch in the Silicon Valley in 2024, I think, 23. And since then, we've had, I think, 5 or 6 versions now. Evolving, adding new products based on what we found, both in some of the research we did, some of the collaborations we've had. So all of that is now built up to what's in front of you. So you've got a phishing message scanner, which at the very basic, it says, if you have a link and you're not happy with it, and believe you me, even with all the experience I've had, I've almost got tricked once or twice. You'll not believe. So it could happen to anyone. It comes disguised. It comes from an email, so especially if you've not gone to look at the headers and the rest of it of the email, it comes in and you think, oh, okay, blah, that's it. So we built a phishing message scanner. We use it quite extensively ourselves. We use that. We check each message that comes in, and I think more recently, instead of just having a database that we look up, we now have an AI analysis of the link, of the document, to make sure, because we now notice as well that the databases are not being updated or are not up to date as much as you want. So in other words, a phishing message comes in and you test it and it says there's nothing wrong, but there is something wrong with it. So we've added the capability of analyzing that link end to end in real time, analyzing the document as well. So that's the phishing message scanner. Encrypted data capture. So the encrypted data capture is capturing data from spreadsheets, which we know data in spreadsheets are not secure. So Excelitte allows you to take data that's in a spreadsheet, push it into a database, builds a database and a UI on the fly for you. And you can still do some of the things you do in Excel, on the spreadsheet, some of your analysis, the charts, things like that. You can still do some of that, which we'll demonstrate as well. You can also, so you can capture data in any spreadsheet. File ship. So you have a file, and today we have files, we have image files, we have all kinds of files. So it's not just your text files, it's not just sensitive data, it can be sensitive images as well, as we know. The idea is to store it in an encrypted fashion, which we'll also demonstrate. Automated backups. So when you encrypt data in Excelitte, it automatically backs it up, and it sends you a file, an encrypted backup file, and it says, here's your file. And the idea behind that is that if your computer got attacked, and you've clicked on the wrong thing, and someone's ransoming that computer, you can literally wipe that computer clean, walk over, log into Excelitte, and retrieve your your backup, and you have your file back, you have your data back. So you can literally walk away from that computer, destroy it, log in somewhere else, and recover your file. You can recover your file and recover your data through the email backup you receive or on the dashboard of Excelitte when you log into your account. 4-factor authentication. Now, so we also looked at authentication. I know that we've barely got into 2-3 factors. So, well, 2 factors actually. So now, we're now doing 4 factors. So you've got your password. You've got an SMS or email that comes in. You've got Optel. And you also have biometrics, which we'll demonstrate as well. So, and these 4 factors, they're not mandatory. You can have 2, you can have 3, but you can also have 4. So if you had very sensitive data that you don't want to take the chance and you want to make sure that it's the 4 factors, you can use that. And the 4 factors take the same amount of time to do 2 factors. So they're literally running simultaneously, if you like. So in order not to impact the user experience of saying, oh, okay, because you're using 4 factors, I'm going to sit there waiting for it to log in, blah, blah. So we don't do that. Excelitte doesn't do that. A robotic penetration tester. So pretty much black box testing, black box penetration test that runs autonomously, 24/7, can be scheduled, so you can set it up and say run every week. Now, interestingly enough, when we ran this tool on one of our domains, we discovered 70 interfaces into our domain that half of it we were not even aware of it. So some of these interfaces are built over time. So it discovers, it captures, and it tells you where it's vulnerable, which we'll also demonstrate as well. The web crawler chatbot. The web crawler chatbot is also a product that we developed that allows you, that literally crawls every day like a web crawler. It is a web crawler, so it crawls the web. Sometimes it gathers information from the dark web as well. And it uses to give you a bit more information about some of the cyber threat actors out there. We'll also have a look at that as well. So yeah, so that and this all works across, it's a web-based apps. It all works across any desktop or any computer. So, and I'm gonna get a little bit detailed there. So, as I mentioned, the 4 factors are already there. The files are encrypted, AES-BIT encryption, which cross-finger to date. Quantum computers haven't broken it yet. That could change soon. We're looking at that, obviously. That could change soon with the way that technology is advancing. So in Excelitte, there's no need to move any files into any kind of vault. It's as simple as compressing a file. It's really simple. We took the user experience, because the idea was, I remember I was saying to Trevor was one of them, and some of the development team, and I said, I need to bring a 12-year-old to log into Excelitte, and he doesn't have any need to learn it. And we tested it, and 12-year-old logged in and used it, and he didn't need to learn anything. And that was the idea behind the UI and the way the UI was designed and what it was trying to do. So data loss prevention, which is, I guess, from a Gartner gradient point of view, Excelitte, the data capture, falls into that data loss prevention type of product. These are some of the comparisons we've done. It's interesting because we had to present this to an arm of Microsoft recently, and then we went into this very long debate as to some of the comparisons there. We convinced them, but that's where we're at the moment. So that's a comparison of some of the things we do, because we try to match each of the features, each of the products, what's out there, how does it relate. Is there something out there? Of course, if there's something out there, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. The idea wasn't to reinvent the wheel. The idea was to complement the wheel, to do more, to add to what already existed, to help solve this problem. And so yeah, so that's the comparison there. It's also on the side. I won't go too much into it. This is the screen. This is for the phishing message scanner. This is the data capture in a nutshell. We're going to go into more detail on that, so I won't go into too much of that. Is there anything that I mentioned? The file sharing. Okay, I mentioned the file sharing as well, which is something we we added, when we're demonstrating this at a crunch in 2023, there was a demand from a health services company to be able to share files in the same way as well. So we added a group function to it that allows you to share your file in an encrypted format, in a encrypted fashion. So that same security we extended to a global team. Even if you're sitting in Planet Moon and someone was here and you wanted to work with them, you could do that in a safe manner. These files are still secure and the data is secure in a safe manner. So you can't hack what you can't see. Now that's what this data looks like. What the data will look like if you eventually get to it and you break through the doors. The web crawler I mentioned, which is capturing information, and I think there's a version which is currently being developed that would allow you to do even more fancier things. It is a chatbot as well. It's a chatbot, but it's a chatbot that's using different sources of information. Some of it from the dark web, as I mentioned, some of it from the normal web, and some of it artificial intelligence analysis. I'm pulling information from quite a number of sources to give you that information. So it looks ask, crawl, detect, natural language threat queries, real-time web crawling, AI generated summaries. I'll talk about the robot tester a little bit because that's the latest product, and we're quite excited about this one. I'm excited about all of them, but more especially this one, especially because of the fact that a lot of the testing we've done has proven that this is very functional, and we're using it quite heavily ourselves at the moment. So total visibility of all your digital parameter, undocumented public-facing domains, so it does your discovery as well. Forgotten or unindexed URLs, which we had. Shadow IT and rogue digital assets, misconfigured endpoints and exposed services. Security compliance, operational excellence, continuous auditing across digital assets, real-time alerts on new exposures, compliance-ready executive reports, seamless integration to workflows, AI-powered penetration testing, continuous autonomous penetration testing, high-risk exposures before attackers do. Very important. We want to know before somebody knows about the vulnerability that we have across our IT estate. Contextual risk prioritization, clear, actionable remediation insights. Pretty much like having a tireless security analyst working 24/7 machine speed. That's what Excelitte penetration test, black box tester is doing. So full spectrum attack, surface visibility, always on AI engine, rapid discovery and insight, stronger security with fewer human hours, clear reporting for faster decisions. Some of the tests it does on the site, so your port test, I think there's a lot more than this now. This was the robot test that had a second version. I think now we've pretty much captured most of it, which we'll also see when we do the demo as well. But that's kind of the area of what it covers. Scans look like that on the dashboard, which we'll have a look at. So pre-verified domain, and obviously when you want to use it, we have to make sure that you're not an attacker yourself, so you've got to prove that you're actually in the domain you're putting into test against, obviously. So that is done. So legally compliant consent, one-click submission. And you have a PDF report generated. So that's still about the robot tester there. Clear results, actionable reports. And finally, we are putting all this together as a web extension. So by the time we finish, and this is probably the first quarter of this year, this will have been done. So by March, probably April. Is it March or April? This will be finished. So all the products I mentioned will be available via web extension, just like you see on the screen there. I think some of it is actually free to use, based on a bit of it's free to use. I think the first tier is free to use as well. So you can do your robotic testing, you can do your penetration, your black box penetration testing directly from your browser. Also, the phishing message scanner, you no longer invoke it yourself, it invokes itself. So in other words, if you go to a website address, it will scan the website, and if it doesn't like it, it will tell you it does not like that website, and tell you what's there. You'll do it automatically. It will also, if you open up a document or you try to download a document, it will scan the document automatically and say, hey, this document is malicious, there's stuff in here. So that capability of everything we just mentioned sitting on a web browser, as an extension for you to use and provide security via your web browser to the World Wide Web. We did a bit of a challenge, and this was an interesting one because we put this up in San Francisco. It was very funny because the moment you see people walk, you see about 20 people or 10 people walk past that particular one, and once they walk past it, you would look and you would see that we're getting attacks. You're getting emails and attacks. You will see the intensity. There was numbers, and at one point I think we're getting attempted attacks, maybe about 50, 60 a week. One time sometimes it got up to 100. So it was funny. Anytime we said we put out this challenge, it just went crazy. So you see someone who said, "Really, you mean you're doing this now?" So yeah, and then they go off, and then you will see somebody send something or someone try to attack. And if you look at the firewall logs, you see the attacks coming in quite heavily as well. So we put this challenge up, and we still have this challenge. We actually have this challenge where we've hidden some data with Excelitte and we say, hey, if you can get to it, we'll give you $30,000 US. On top of it as well, as long as the FBI is not after you, because obviously if you can get to you and break all of those things, you'll be quite an interesting person, which means that you may have done something. And if the FBI is not after you, we'd like to give you a job. And that's it from me. We're going to go, actually we're going to start the demo. So we're going to go through each of the products, and hopefully we can do some questions now, or do we want to do after the demo? Is there any question?
I reckon demo first.
Like the demo first, perfect. Okay, very good. So after the demo.
Email address. And then the actual target URL which you want to scan for the penetration test. Now next you have to provide a verification to show that you have ownership of the digital asset. So we'll give you two options to do that. You can either verify using DNS text record, or you can also verify using an email that is linked to that particular asset that you want to scan. So for this demo, we'll be verifying with our email. Then you click on register domain to show your ownership. And then it will send you either the code which you need to verify for your email, or it will give you like a DNS record which you have to configure for your domain so that it can do the verification. So I'm just going to check my email inbox for that. Just over here. So yep, I got a new verification email, and that's the code that I used to verify. So I'll copy that, go back to the app, put that code in, and then just click verify code. That was verified successfully. So the next step we do is the application will ask you for your consent. So this is just like giving legal consent that you're happy with using the Excelitte tool to perform the scan for you. So there's terms and conditions that it gives you. So just make sure you read the detail, you're happy to go ahead. You then say you confirm you understand it, provide your full legal name, and then you submit it for consent. So once you've provided your consent, all you have to do now is to provide a time when you want to schedule and run that scan. So you can either run it as a one-time scan, or you can run it as a recurring scan. The recurring scan is an option which we provide as part of our enterprise solution, but if you sign up for the robot penetration tester today, you can do a one-off scan anytime. So we'll give a time to start the scan right now. We'll provide an email address for where we want to receive the report to. So every test produces a automatic report. And then you can add any additional nodes optionally as well. Now, all you have left to do is to confirm that the details are accurate and approved to perform the scan. Then you click on submit. So just give it a moment. So there, the request has been submitted. Now, depending on how big your digital asset is, how many subdomains and systems that are associated with the top level domain, it can take up to hours to perform the scan, or if it's a smaller environment, it can also take a matter of minutes. So this one should be fairly quick for the demo, and we'll take a look at this later on once the scan is complete. Now, I'll just be moving on to look at some of our other Excelitte products while the scan runs in the background.
I've got a question before we move on.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a reverse DNS lookup to find all your A records and stuff. Is that the methodology that?
Partially, yeah.
Yes.
A few other tools.
What about IP addresses?
Yes.
So just using Excelitte.com, it's going to suss out what your IP address ranges are that you want to
Scan. It's going to scan everything that's connected to that DNS and pick it up. Anything that's connected to that DNS is going to scan it.
So if you've got like a, I don't know, /27 on your firewall, it's going to know what IP address you have there and add a DNS.
It will scan it. As long as it has any connection to that domain, it will scan it.
Okay.
Now, obviously, if you firewall it off, for lack of a better word, you probably won't see it. But as long as it's public facing, and it knows, because it's public facing, it knows that it's connected to www.john.com, it's going to scan it and look for any vulnerability there. Yeah.
Good question. All right, so just while we're waiting for the scanner to run, we'll be now looking at the next product, which is the Excelitte Phishing Message AI Scanner. So this is a very powerful tool that allows you to take any suspicious email messages or SMS messages that come into you and take any of the URLs from that message or any file attachments in that message and perform a quick scan using some artificial intelligence powered analysis to understand that link or understand that file, see what is wrong with the file if it's suspicious, and it will give you a quick, instant result telling you whether or not that file is safe to use or whether that URL is safe to use. So I'll just quickly drop in an example. So this is an actual malicious link. Do not copy this and open it unless you want to find out for yourself. So we'll just paste that into the form here, and then we'll click on submit URL, and the scanner will conduct a scan. It'll take a few moments, and what it's going to do, it's going to do 2 layers of scanning. So it will scan based on over 70 different security vendors to see whether or not there's a match with that malicious URL or file. And on top of that, if it's not able to find anything from there, then we'll do a further deeper analysis using artificial intelligence to see whether or not there's anything wrong with that particular link or file. So yeah, this will just take a few moments. And you could probably make a coffee, and by the time that's done, your file will be ready scanned.
Have a beer, mate.
Yeah.
You want to go to the web crawler while you're waiting?
Yeah, I think it's just about to finish now. You can see it. There we go. So, this is the results of the scan. So it will tell you how many issues that it has identified from that URL or file.
I thought you said it was dodgy. It says 0.
So this is the catch, right? So we have a multi-layered process when it comes to scanning the URLs of files, right? the first layer, which we ran through first, was checking the 70 plus different vendors to see if the URL was suspicious. So it didn't pick anything up from that. That's what it's saying at the start. But if you scroll down further, it shows you the detailed AI-powered analysis.
Which is the one that almost tricked me, obviously. That's one of the reasons why.
Because attackers, they're now using more sophisticated methods for sending phishing links. So sometimes those phishing links don't get picked up by the top level security vendors. So our way of circumventing that is to use a further, deeper analysis using AI, artificial intelligence, to really break down and see what is actually wrong with that URL. So it says here that there's a pretty high confidence level, but you should still be cautious with the URL. So it's saying that there's a potential concern for phishing and potential concern for malware. And then it'll give you a high level detailed analysis as well on the common sort of areas which you might try to mislead you. So we'll see things like, what's the domain? They'll say that, okay, the domain seems legitimate, but there is a subdomain that is used which is not common. So you should take some caution when you're trying to go to that link. Then it'll also pick up certain other aspects of the URL, like the parameters that are used, response type code, access type online, which is commonly used for phishing attacks. So it's just giving you that insight so you can prepare yourself for what could potentially happen when you try and click on the link. And you can also do the same with any files and attachments that you get in your messages as well. So that's the AI phishing message scanner. The next product which we'll be looking at is the Excelitte web crawler chatbot.
Question: which LLM provider are you using for that one?
Sorry?
Which LLM are you using for that one?
Yeah, so we're using the OpenAI generative AI model to support.
And a few other additions that were written.
And a few others, yeah.
Sorry.
And a few other additions that were written by herself
Yeah.
to do that analysis.
Alright, so the next product we're going to look at is the Excelitte web crawler and web crawler chatbot. So this tool allows you to take intelligence, threat intelligence that we collect and crawl over the web and perform analysis on that intelligence. So it will give you a dashboard, it will give you reporting on the high level statistics of common cyber attacks, common types of cyber attacks, and what are the areas that you want to know when it comes to cyber attacks. So I'll just quickly log into my account here so we can see what that's like. And then put in my two-factor code. So here we're logged into the Excelitte web crawler and chatbots. So as I mentioned, its reporting is analyzing and giving you a dashboard of some of the threat intelligence that we gather with our web crawler. So it'll cover different types of attacks to include ransomware, phishing threats, malware threats, and social media threats. And this is happening in real time. So we collect the data every day. The chatbot will go through all the most common internet sources, public sources, and dark web sources as well, to gather that information and come up with this report here, which you can use to gather insights and perform analysis on what are the common trends with cyber attacks. So that's the dashboard. Now, on top of this reporting, we also provide you with an interrogated chatbot, an interactive chatbot, which will allow you to query some of these trends on different cyber attacks and get an understanding of what could be causing these attacks. Learn more about these attacks and how you can prepare yourself for the future. So if I go to the chatbot here, it's a pretty familiar experience to other chatbot tools, but it's specifically tailored to use the threat data that we collect. So you can ask questions, any cyber attack related questions, and it'll give you some pretty detailed responses. So for example, I might want to know, looking further ahead in the future, what are, the potential, biggest cyber threat actor groups for next year, 2027? So enter that, and it'll just take a few moments to analyze that query, and it'll give you a response. So it's using our own proprietary artificial intelligence engine to take that question and query the data that we collect to give you the tailored response accordingly. So we'll just give it a moment to process that. And this will actually be a good opportunity as well.
Can you search for, if your organisation has been an attack, if there's any chatter, like dark web chatter about UI.com or about your own domain names? Is that possible?
Yes, well, not yet. It's funny because that's actually a version that we're working on at the moment. So yes, by the time we release the next version, which is coming this quarter, you'll be able to do that. That's actually the drive.
So
the drive is to
know
yes.
if my CEO's email address has appeared.
Yes, that's the drive. And not only that as well, we're going to rank, if you have a company and you put a company name, we'll rank that company and tell you how vulnerable that company is, and it is based on intelligent analysis of it.
Wow. How are you gathering those data sources?
Some of it is from sources on the web, some of it is from the dark web, some of it is some of the tests we can carry out without intruding and attacking the system. So anything that's out in the public that we can gather information on, we can use that part of the analysis.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
So yeah, the chatbot has now responded to our query earlier, and it said it's broken down a high-level summary, pulling in the information that we collect and giving you a high-level analysis on that question. What are the potential cyber threat actor groups that could start an attack in 2027? And it's given some examples here. It's mentioned Maze ransomware group. It's mentioned APT73. Play ransomware targets organizations in Latin America, and also 8-based ransomware group as well. These are just examples, but you can also, take that further. You can, ask even deeper questions as well. A question at the back.
Just to follow on the point of how the generative AI tool scrapes data, how do we ensure the integrity of the information that it spits out? Because in cybersecurity, having accurate information is important, but misinformation is dangerous, especially for people that, if you are offering it to people that may not be well versed in cybersecurity, acting on that information.
So remember that I mentioned there are different sources and we're cross-checking. So you're not getting information from one source. We are actually cross-checking the sources and scoring it. So you're doing a scoring, and we're not telling you the information you get is not you're 100% clear. We're giving you a scoring of where we believe you are. And that's based on information, not the generative information. We're doing some real analysis as well. We're using sources that we're gathering data from. That web crawler crawls on daily basis, been crawling for 7-8 months now, 9 months now.
Yeah, roughly 8 months.
So it's gathering all kinds of information. The same way your Google web crawler is gathering information, we're doing the same thing. So it's gathering information, it's categorizing it, it is learning from it, it is studying, and using other sources to come up with a story. So when we release the next version, it will give you a story. So it's not a definitive here, this is the picture we have of where you're at. It will give you recommendations and things to do to check, to make sure you point you at the direction of here's what we need from here, here's what we need from there, and then you follow.
Thank you. So that was the web crawler chatbot. Just before we go to the next product, we're going to go back and have a look at the robotic penetration tester to see if the scan has just finished. So if I go back over to the other tab, then I check the dashboard where we keep all of our individual scans. We can see right here at the top of the dashboard, the domain that we just scanned here, Excelitte has now completed the test. So it was pretty fast. So let's have a look and see what the test has returned. So if I click on the I button, it will show you the report for that test. So in that test, it's been completed and it's found 3 issues at the moment. So 3 high issues, which means it's a big concern, you need to really look into it. It will cover a number of different testing modules for the penetration test, and depending on the sort of options that you go for the product, you can get more deep, comprehensive tests, or if you sign up to use our free product, it will just be a bit more of a basic, broader level scan. So here we've got a number of different results. It tells you the status, if it's a pass or fail, and also give you the severity of the vulnerabilities that have been found for certain modules which have failed. So in this case, we can see that the server vulnerabilities has returned with a high severity, with 15 issues found. If I scroll down further, there's another one here from missing headers. So we can see here that there's 5 issues found, all of high severity. And then the last one is with email security. So we can see that one's failed. It's a high severity issue, and there's 4 issues found related to that particular module. And yeah, this list in the report is all the different testing modules, all the different technologies that Excelitte AI Robotic Penetration Tester goes ahead and scans for your particular system. So if you want to see more detail on the actual analysis, you can view the full report. So if you click on that button there, it will take you to more detailed report, like so. And this is all automatically generated. No manual user inputs, it's all done for you on the fly as soon as the scan is run and completed. So it will give you first with an executive summary, just breaking down how the report works, how to read and interpret the report. It will give you the high level score at the top, and then it will give you the detailed breakdown of all the individual modules that we test for. So this includes areas such as port scanning. So for port scanning, for example, that one's pass. So there's no concerns there, we don't have to worry too much about that area. But there could be other areas which you want to pay more attention to, such as the server vulnerability. So that one returned as a high vulnerability. And it'll give you the detail as to what are the issues there. So it'll tell you, okay, there's uncommon headers that were found being used for that particular domain. There's some missing security headers as well. It's vulnerable to shell shock on multiple endpoints. And it's also identified that there are some certain security modules which are enabled, which can allow attackers to potentially brute force on that particular system. It will then even give you a step further and tell you some high-level recommendations on how you can, plan ahead and start remediating on those particular issues. And we do that across all of the modules as well. So if you scroll down, you can see all the details there for all the other modules.
What are you using for your scoring system?
So we use mostly that CV scoring system.
CVSS?
Yeah. So that is the Excelitte AI Robotic Penetration Tester. Now, the last product which we'll be looking through in this demo is the Excelitte Encrypted Data Capture, which is over here. Now, with the Excelitte Encrypted Data Capture tool, this tool, as mentioned earlier, allows you to securely encrypt all your sensitive files, whether they're stored in databases, so spreadsheets, or other file formats like documents, PDFs, PowerPoint, etc. Now, with Excelitte, with the data capture, we ensure comprehensive security of your data by employing multi-layers of security right at the account level, with up to 4 steps, 4 factors of authentication, which we'll go through now in this demo. So we start off with your typical username, password, login. Oops, typo. So there, we logged in with username and password. The next step is the two-factor, which could be email or SMS. So we'll do email for this demo. So we'll get an email verification email through the email account right here. So that's just came through. We'll copy that verification code, paste it in. So that will form the second step of verification. The next step is the third factor, which is using your mobile authenticator. In this case, we use Okta Verify. So I just got a push notification on my phone. So I'm just gonna go in and say, yes, it's me, like so. So that's logged me in for the third factor. And then the last step is the biometrics, the facial recognition. So this one requires that you have a camera set up on your device. You click on verify, and then it will ask you to verify by doing a pose. So in this case, I've got to open my mouth. There we go. So that's worked. So that's recognized my face, and we're now into our account. So you can see here, it's a very comprehensive login process, but it gives you that peace of mind that somebody's very unlikely going to be able to log in. So once we logged in, we're presented with a dashboard. It will show you all the data that you've secured through your spreadsheets in the Excelitte application. So this one is one spreadsheet which we imported. It's a financial table. And I'll show you quickly how that works, how we import that data. So we'll go to the side menu and we'll click on the upload a spreadsheet feature. Now, with this one, all you have to do is drag and drop your spreadsheet file. So I'll just quickly get the sample file here. Drop that in. And just in an instant, Excelitte would have taken the data in your spreadsheet, it converts it into an interactive database application, and it secures the data behind it using AES-256-bit encryption to ensure that none of the information can be seen. If somebody tries to intercept it, try to see it from the back end, it's all encrypted. Only you as the user is the original owner of that data. You can only see it through your logging into the application. So you'll be prompted to modify the table, make any last minute changes before you submit it into Excelitte. So you give it a name. I'll just call it financial sample table. Then you can make any last minute changes to the spreadsheet as you need. So you can pick and choose columns, you can pick and choose rows, and you can make edits. You can edit the rows, you can edit the columns, you can add new rows, you can add new columns, or you can delete them as well. Once you're happy that all the data there is to your liking, then you can go in and submit that sheet by clicking on the next sheet button at the bottom right corner. It will ask you to say OK, so you click on OK, and that spreadsheet has now been converted and submitted into the Excelitte application with encryption applied to the data as well. So now, when we go back to the dashboard, the table is now added as a new shortcut. And if you want to go back and see that table again, all you have to do is click on the thumbnail over there, and you're back to the table. Now, you can do the same functions that we saw earlier when we uploaded it, so we can modify, add, delete the data. you can also perform queries to filter down the data to specific areas of information that you want to know. So for example, in this particular table, you might want to break it down to only rows which cover a certain country. So I might only want to look at data around the country in Germany. So I'll put Germany as a search term. I'll pick the category for the drop down and choose country. And then I'll click on search and it'll filter down that data for you. We also have some further analytical tools that you can use on top of your table data to get some further insights and understanding of the data that you got. We got a data analytics tool which visualizes the data into your different charts and graphs like so. So we got bar charts, you can visualize as line chart, pie chart, or scatter plot. So let's visualize this table into a bar chart for this demo. Then you'll be asked to give the different non-numerical and numerical question.
I'm really confused. What's the use case for this? Who uses this?
So
why would I want to get my spreadsheet and dump it into?
So we have a client who will be running the business for 20 years on spreadsheets.
Yeah.
What's $20 million? And he wanted to convert the data into an application, a basic application.
Okay.
So we built a version of that for them. So the idea is that
Who else uses it?
So the idea behind this is we use it as well, and we have other clients who use it. So the idea behind this is to store data securely rather than storing in the spreadsheet. If you are not doing an analysis, major analysis of the data.
Right.
So people use spreadsheets. I mean, when I was at Citibank, we had to tidy up all of that. People use spreadsheets to store data, which it shouldn't be. If you're not doing analysis of the data, it should be stored there, which is the reason why when you get hacked, that data gets stolen. So the idea is to give you an option that's secure for you to push that spreadsheet. So instead of us spending 5 months writing applications to move that data for you to what it will cost, and probably $500,000, that takes its place. Because you might not be looking for something
Very niche case.
very, very niche. It is very niche. But that was where that
But you
use
can
case
charge
came
a lot
from.
for it.
Sorry?
But you can charge a lot for it because it is niche.
Correct. And also because of the fact that if you need to do it, because a lot of people still run their business on spreadsheets, you'll be surprised. They do. And they don't want to spend $500,000, $1 million writing an application for 8 months. They don't want to do that. And they want something pretty basic. Such as that. So that's what the use case came from.
Good question, thank you for that. So, just moving on. So we were just trying to put together the data visualization. So you just pick non-numerical and numerical data which you want to visualize in the chart. So for the x-axis of the chart, we'll put a non-numerical data, so we'll put in a country. And for the y-axis, we'll put in some numerical data. So I'll pick sales, for example. Now, you click on Analyze, and in an instant, Excelitte will produce you a 2D generation of that chart. The chart is interactive, so you can hover your mouse over it. You can view the detailed data points as well. This table is pretty big, so you can see there's a lot of data here. And then if you want to also take a step further and share that report, you can take a copy of it as an image file. So click on Save Chart. And that saves a chart as an image file, like so. Now, just one more feature which we're going to look here at the encrypted data spreadsheets is the summary report feature. So just down here.
You export that spreadsheet, but do you export the table as a spreadsheet?
Yes.
As well?
Yes.
And it's an encrypted spreadsheet as
It
well.
is, yeah. So you still have to encrypt it as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same side, that's
So
right.
it's like password or whatever.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alright, so just moving on, we'll look at a summary report. So, summary report is basically taking in all the data, the numerical data in your table, and summarizing it into into like an overall like total figure. So it just gives you more insights and analysis on that data. So it works by picking and choosing your non-numerical and numerical columns. So for the non-numerical columns, I'll just pick country and I'll pick product, for example. Then I'll pick 3 examples of numerical columns. I'll put sales, I'll put profit, and I'll also choose sale price, for example. And then the last step you can do, you can also filter the report on certain categories as well if you want to. So I could put a filter on country like we did before, and this time I can say let's filter by country of Canada. Then we click on submit, and in an instant Excelitte generates the summary report in a nice presentable 2D animation showing you all the summarized statistics of the data from that table that we just generated. We'll give you the high level figures at the top, and it will also show you the summaries at the bottom as well. We'll go to the last page. So let's show you the total figures there. You can also export this report as a PDF or collaboration with your colleagues and your peers as well. So if you click on export to PDF, it'll generate that as a PDF, save that. And if you open it, it shows the same information again in a PDF format. So that's the summary report function of the Excelitte table spreadsheet feature. Now, next other features that we've got here, we've got settings. I won't go into too much detail, but basically you can use this to configure things like 3-factor, 4-factor, and all the other functions of the app. We then got user management functionality. So Excelitte, you can also collaborate and share your data with other people in the team. So the idea is to make sure that everybody stays in the same platform, collaborating, securing that data. Now, the next feature that I want to show is around the use of backups. So as we mentioned earlier, Excelitte will provide you with continuous weekly backups of all the data that you secure through spreadsheets every week, and retaining up to 4 weeks of your data that is stored in the application. So in the event that you have data loss and you need to recover that data, Excelitte guarantees that you have that backup so you can bring it up back to the application.
And it's automatic, so you don't do anything, it does everything for you. You don't have to remember to back up anything. Once it's set up, it does the backup for you and just gives you the file. No user forgetting involved, simply does its thing and gives you a backup.
And it's also emailed to you as well, so you always get email copy as well as being able to get it from the dashboard as well. So let's say for this example, somebody has accidentally deleted all our data in the Excelitte application. You want to recover that data. All you have to do is take the copy of the backup file that we send to you, which will be in the form of a encrypted spreadsheet, as in the contents are encrypted. So I'll take that spreadsheet and I'll drop it in. And just like that, you can see there's 2 tables that have been imported. Those are the tables that have been backed up. And just like that, all your data is back in one place again. So there's no drama. Now, the next feature we'll be looking at is the managed summary reports. So managed summary reports, this is the summary reports that we generated earlier through the spreadsheet tool. So all your summary reports that we produce come to this page, listed in a table. You can go back here anytime you like. If you want to, go back, export the table, share it with other people. If you also no longer need the reports, you can also go ahead and choose the ones that you want to delete as well. So that's the manage summary report feature. Now the last one and the most important one, one of the most important ones, is the secure file tool. So this is where you can take any sensitive documents, files, securely encrypt it and share it, collaborate it with your team or your peers. So there's 4 functionalities that form that tool. So we'll start off with the encryption bit. So with encryption, it's basically taking any of your sensitive files, securing that using AES-256-bit encryption, and storing it as a proprietary Excelitte format. So whatever data you put in, it can only be read and interpreted through the Excelitte platform. It cannot go anywhere else. So I'll run an example. So I'll take.
I'm wondering if we should run an example where we should take questions. Since we have about 10 minutes left. And we should just, so pretty much secure the file in the way it's mentioned. And you can do any kind of file. Same principle behind the spreadsheet that was done as well. But this time you're looking at the file level, drag drop, put it in, it backs it up. It also sends you, once you encrypt that, also it sends you, you can actually encrypt it directly from inside the tool there as well. And once you've encrypted that, yeah,
This is the file.
Yeah, so a file is encrypted. So, yeah.